Welcome back to American Agenda. Some breaking news for you this afternoon, where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has issued a response to the allegations from the New York Times that the president has over $300 million in loans that are due over the next few years. She called that a national security issue and added that this raises questions about the relationship the president has with foreign nations and whether they could actually potentially use that as leverage. She also said that the public has a right to know the details about the president's loans and taxes, even though we're still looking into how those were, how the New York Times got those and whether they have a right to have them. There are all kinds of issues associated with that. Meanwhile, President Trump is not one to let false allegations roll off his back. He always confronts them head on. Here's what the president had to say about the New York Times report that accused him of not paying federal income taxes for 10 years.
It's totally fake news, made up, fake. We went through the same stories. You could have asked me the same questions 4 years ago. I had to litigate this and talk about it. Totally fake news. No, actually, I paid tax. And you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time.
Well, is this an October surprise, if you will? Here to weigh in, tax attorney and president of Walser Wealth Management, Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, I assume you've had a chance to look at what the Times has put out there. And from your educated perspective, what do you think?
You know, Bob, it's so hard making an assessment of somebody else's assessment. The New York Times has not released their source documents, and we know why. As a tax lawyer, I can tell you the documents that we'd be looking at would tell us who is the sender. So if it was the IRS, we'd be looking at probably a transcript. It's the accounting firm and somebody in the accounting firm. We'd be looking at the actual documents that they had prepared for the tax filing. So we would kind of know who sent it to the New York Times, and that's clearly why they're not just, actually giving us the source documents. So I'm having to read what their assessment is of these tax documents that they have. And that's hard. But I will tell you, there's no smoking gun here that I see. There's no foreign Russian collusion. The best thing they could come up with that I read was that the most profitable Miss Universe pageant was the one that was held in Moscow. And that, the president, who's not even a full, not the sole owner of the Miss Universe pageant at the time, did well with the fact that the actual pageant was held in Moscow. But they're making a really big deal, Bob, of this $72.9 million refund that President Trump got. And all that proves is that actually he paid over $70 million of taxes in the tax years 2005, 2006, and 2007. And that's the reason that he was able to take a loss in 2009 and actually push that back up to 5 years and get a refund. And that's actually what's under audit right now. And this is why President Trump continues to say that it's under audit. And he doesn't want to bring the public specter into that and have all these extra people weighing in when it is a matter that is still actually technically under audit.
Okay. And one of the ways that you can not pay taxes, so to speak, is that you can carry forward some losses. And it appears he had some losses from some of his businesses, but they're not all, losers, if you will, because obviously with The Apprentice, I think he has some properties with Vornado. There's some places where he's done very well. So like you were saying, as I looked at this, I used to be a financial advisor, not to your level, but as I looked at this, again, like you were saying, there doesn't appear to be anything illegal. And the criticism might be there's some money owed, but that can be paid back down the road as well.
Yeah. And let's be clear, Bob, what Nancy Pelosi is doing to politicize the nature of this is let's pretend it was any other billionaire businessman. It could be Jeff Bezos. It could be it could be Warren Buffett. If your litmus test is that you can't be a politician if you have a business that has any kind of debt, well, you've just eliminated all private business people in the entire country. That's it. There's no one can ever run for office. So let's just have politicians who never worked at a real corporation, who never signed a payroll check, who don't understand maybe a debit and a credit and how profits and losses work, and let's have them run the largest enterprise in the entire world times 10, the U.S. federal government. I don't think that is a very good test at all. Just because President Trump has 500 entities that the New York Times got illegally obtained transcripts on, if you want my opinion. I mean, these are not public records. And they made a note, Bob, to say that the source they got them from had them legally. But that is totally irrelevant. I can have a lot of stuff legally as an attorney that I cannot send out to the New York Times. And so, obviously they're trying to couch this as, we're protecting our sources. We're not releasing the source documents. And these people have this legally. Well, you don't have it legally, New York Times. It's not public record. And so I just think that the litmus test now that the Democrats are saying President Trump has a conflict of interest because he has business entities that that have $300 million of recurring debt that's coming due. This is an ongoing multinational organization that has leverage like every other multinational corporation that's going to have businesses and loans that come due over time. That means nothing.
And that can be rolled over, by the way. And if a bank, if I borrow $100 million from a bank, it's in their interest to make sure I can pay it back, even if I take longer to pay it back.
Exactly. I mean, what you didn't see is the New York Times saying that he's writing off debts and debts aren't getting paid, and and their depreciation. I mean, they're trying to make it sound like, well, he had paid all this money to foreign governments, but he only paid this much to the United States. Well, that's when you're having an international organization. The United States is the only country in the world that taxes your revenue on any place it's derived and every place it's derived. So that's normal that you would report foreign income and then you would subtract foreign taxes paid to that foreign country on that foreign income. And then the net you would pay taxes on in the United States. So the fact that his entities correctly pay foreign taxes and then take credits for those foreign tax payments, that is also means nothing. Yeah. And, I looked at to see like their other stances besides the 79.2 million, I think was not really fair. Right. You make that clear. What I looked at instead was, does it really show a bad businessman, somebody who continuously is losing money? And you can't even see that because they did not take out the depreciation and amortization expenses. Okay. And what people don't understand, and I think this is why Trump hasn't.
Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I would love to have that conversation with you. We're just running out of time, and I think obviously you've read that with a sharp eye and a knowledgeable one. So thank you so much, Rebecca Walser.
Thanks, Bob.
We'll be back.